St. Brown the Trojan proudly presents a recap of the National Basketball Association. Oh no, he's gotten in the basketball run. Despite the orange background on my YouTube videos, there's one orange ball sport that I could never get into for some reason. Basketball. Even though it was my former school's biggest sport, I didn't get into it much. I didn't think it was fast-paced enough to be fun like hockey, but it was never too slow-paced to be more strategic like football or baseball. To me, basketball is the weird middle ground sport between the other three. And that's why I never got into it much. But today, I'm going to attempt to recap professional basketball. Hopefully I don't fail too hard at this. Once upon a time, kids, the Golden State Warriors were a dynasty that everyone worried about when they came up. But this team is not that dynasty. Instead, they're getting knocked around and bounced out of the play-in by a team they considered their little brother at one point. Clay literally could not score a point that entire game. He scored 0 points. And none of the rest of the team had standout performances. Your move, Warriors. It's gonna hurt for Warriors fans, but I suggest a rebuild. It's for the best. Trust me. Oh yeah, this team made the playoffs by accident. Let's be real, this team did not deserve a play-in spot and fittingly got kicked out by the Chicago Bulls. Another team that didn't deserve to make the playoffs. I'm gonna be completely honest here, it's way more interesting to see the team win the draft lottery, even though this incoming draft class is not great. Maybe Trae Young, someone who can actually come up clutch in Atlanta, shocker I know, can stay around. But knowing Atlanta sports and their painful events, that's probably not going to happen. I'm going to be entirely honest, I thought this team would make the playoffs. But for some reason, they just could not solve the Pelicans to save their lives. 0-5 the entire regular season against them. Ouch. And in the play-in, wouldn't you guess it, they faced them again. Even with the injuries New Orleans had, they once again couldn't beat them. 0-6 against the Pelicans, season over. I think those 2023 playoffs was your big chance with this core. You might have blown it. Am I supposed to be impressed with your postseason appearance? I'm not going to be. The only reason this team even made the play-in was because the Eastern Conference was pretty weak. Enjoy your certificate of mediocrity, I guess, but how does a team keep going on like this? You need more. A lot more. So why did I choose these guys to be my favorite NBA team? They get injured constantly, they're stuck in mediocrity, and even when they have a chance to blossom and become something great, they get shut down by a young, hungry team. At this point, I fully expect the team to move somewhere else, so I can't really root for this team, per se. Too bad. When Jimmy Butler got injured in the play-in tournament against Philadelphia, it pretty much ruined your chances at another deep postseason run. Too bad, too. Boston looked really ripe for the possible humiliation had against them. Heck, you even won a game against them. Too bad you needed 4 to win, huh? That being said, I do appreciate your efforts of making it kinda competitive against Boston. If anything else, for TV ratings. Unfortunately, I fear you've gotten too mediocre now to have more deep playoff runs. At least Jimmy Butler staying? The Lakers turned themselves into a hilarious comedy show on the court in the playoffs, and have found new and inventive ways to bow themselves out of the playoffs. So picture this, they faced the reigning champions, the Denver Nuggets. After winning a game, it was more beneficial to lose because they would play a, quote, worse team, unquote. It's game 2. They hold a 20-point advantage as they try to send the series back to Los Angeles with a series split. Wouldn't you guess it, they blow it in astounding fashion and let Jamal Murray look like an absolutely clutch demon, And instead of worrying about the roster, which needs serious overhaul and either needs more big pieces or a complete rebuild, they end up firing their coach and blaming it on him instead. Nice going, guys. And now we transition from the Los Angeles Lakers to the Lakers of the East, the Philadelphia 76ers. Seriously, the comparison is strikingly similar. Two superstars with a bunch of other bums, just like the Lakers team, losing a bunch of competitive games they should have won, like the Lakers, and when in doubt, they blame the rest for their losses, just like the Lakers. At least it was a little bit more justified this time, but I think the entirety of Philadelphia has lost their trust in the process. Was that supposed to be a legitimate championship contender? It sure didn't feel like it. They got swept when they should have at least went 6 with the Timberwolves. And for some reason, they decided to take their blame on the coach and fire him after year 1. Fantastic. I hope you enjoyed that 2021 finals run, boys, because it may be all you have for a while. The Orlando Magic was in a big dogfight with Cleveland these playoffs, but there's two problems for the Magic. Their team is not fully ready for the big time just yet, and Cleveland's much hungrier for this win than you guys are, thus leading to your loss in 7 hard-fought games. You'll be back for sure, and there will be more chances in the future for you guys, so I'm not too worried about you guys. Just don't blow an 18-point lead in Game 7 again, okay? Did you seriously think the Los Angeles Clippers were going to do anything in the postseason? Not with a bunch of veterans who can't shed their choking labels. After getting undone by the Mavericks in 6, we can safely say that Westbrook, Harden, and George are not going to shred their choking labels anytime soon. Strangely, all 3 were on the Thunder at one point. Makes you think. You're probably not going to have a short-term future either because you guys just traded all your picks away. At least you have a new logo. Hooray! Once upon a time, kids, the Bucks were 30-13 and looked to have an outside shot at grabbing the number 1 seed. It would be great fun and would create a bunch of storylines had they not fired their coach for Doc Rivers, the so-called Mike McCarthy of the NBA. I wasn't expecting this team to do anything come playoff time, and wouldn't you know it, their stars got injured left and right. They lose to, of all teams, the Indiana Pacers, and their season is over. I don't trust this team anymore to do anything good in the NBA until something changes big time. Oh no, Cleveland had to face a team that actually wanted to win and wasn't just happy for being there. I will be completely flabbergasted when everything falls apart for them. It doesn't really help that they suffered a bunch of injuries when they met Boston. After losing in 5 to the runaway best team in the East, I wonder if this team will stay together. One can only wonder. At least you can see some playoff success without LeBron, right? What an epic choke that was. You're up by 20 in Game 7, at home mind you, and you lose? It's not even like it's a good thing you made the playoffs. You were the defending champions coming off gentlemen sweeping LeBron, and you still had most of your talent intact. Also, you got blown out in Game 6 and had a 3-2 series lead. Nice going, boys. I mean, at least you won the championship last year, but oof. Pain and misery has swept the Knicks organization. You have a crazy good season and look like the best chance to stop Boston domination this year. Yet lay an egg in Games 6 and 7 of the Eastern Conference semifinals to the Pacers of all teams. Whatever defense the Knicks had in Game 7 just kind of fell apart. The Pacers looked like they were addicted to making buckets out there. Blame your injuries and the refs all you want, but I'm sorry, there is no way you should have lost by 21 in Game 7 at home. It's starting to look like 95 all over again. The Oklahoma City Thunder have seen their first great team since the mid-2010s days with Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. playing a style of grit and tenacity at levels not seen in the NBA since the early 2000s. This style has gained them a bunch of haters on social media, with most saying they play dirty and are foul merchants. And unfortunately for them, they're not beating those allegations because they got knocked out by Luka and his group of essentially nobodies. You'll be back, but I can't help but feel like this is a lost chance for you guys. How did this team get the number 1 seed again? What can you say to a team when they overperform expectations, but still end up falling short in the end? That's what type of dilemma you face if you're an Indiana Pacers fan. They ended up getting swept by the Celtics. Sure, it was a competitive sweep, but who cares how close you were to making the series watchable, when all you do is get swept? When Halliburton was injured in the Eastern Conference Finals, the season was pretty much over, considering he was a star. Too bad, I wanted to see them win. Well, get to work on picking up the pieces. Only in Minnesota will you find some of their greatest teams and moments in sports history completely ruined and ground to dust by getting crushed in games and series physically and emotionally they had no business of losing in the first place. You were supposed to provide a somewhat interesting finals matchup for us to indulge. The Mavericks, easy targets, right? Well, that's what everyone else said about that team, myself included. All of us were utterly fooled. In 5 games, we can safely say that Doncic proved that defense does not win championships. Or at least, not win championships for you. At least the Thunder can say they have a bright future and they weren't completely shut down by a one-man band. Minnesota, I think they might need a few more scorers before they can truly be competitive in the West. And that was every single NBA team that got eliminated from the playoffs this year. The Eastern Conference was painfully predictable as the injuries that piled up only made it even more so. At least the West was a little more unpredictable and their finals representative was a little bit more exotic. Let's see that finals matchup. Speaking of, Dallas and Boston. 2 teams that have many stars in their primes. Boston finally had some luck roll their way and their talent show up, as they managed to hit cruise control on their way to the playoffs. Dallas is a little more interesting. They had some doubters, sure, but Luka Doncic did enough of a carry job and Kyrie Irving actually showed up in a few games this year, which was enough to head to the playoffs. This feels like Boston's time, but Dallas has overachieved expectations before. But still, Celtics in 5. Enjoy the finals, everyone. Hopefully I don't have to do this monthly. Romans chapter 8, verse 6. So letting your sinful nature control your mind leads to death, but letting the Spirit control your mind leads to life and peace. So the best thing to do is let God handle things for you.